You want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a thing which has given me personally, an endless amount of joy is when my parents told me that their friends use ChatGPT in their daily lives. So I would say that this was definitely very surprising and very enjoyable for me.
It's hard to pick just like a couple of the favorite stories because it's like, it really is remarkable, the creativity of the world and what people do when you give them powerful tools. Education has been amazing for us to watch. The number of people that write in saying like, this has changed my life because I can learn anything now, or I learned this specific thing, or I couldn't figure out how to do this and now I know. There's something that I find personally quite gratifying and wonderful to see about people learning in a new and better way and imagining what that's going to look like a few years from now. But if we can just unlock human potential at this rate, we didn't quite expect that to happen, and it's been amazing. And then a fun story that I heard just yesterday, and I've heard like other versions of this in the past, was a guy that spends 2 hours every night with his kid collaborating to make up bedtime stories. And that it's just, the kid's favorite thing, and it's become this like special moment every night that they do.
Okay, thank you. And that's just one last small question before we move on to questions from the crowd. So in terms of what you can say, what is the most futuristic product that OpenAI is working on these days?
Most futuristic product?
Or system?
Yeah. It's like we don't think about it in terms of products. We think about it in terms of, can you improve the AI? Can you produce the next generation of the AI, of the model, of the neural network, which will be more reliable, better at reasoning, more controllable, better the whole thing. So you do this, and then you get a whole new world of applications. A bit hard to predict, but we expect everything to become much better and very significantly.
I hope the world is never awed at us again. I hope that, people had an update with ChatGPT, but from here on, it is one continuous smooth curve of progress. At every stage, we're confronting the risks successfully. It always feels, like it's doing what you want and it's safe to use. But every year, your expectations go up and we deliver on them. And it feels like this gradual acceleration of technology, but in a way that very much is a tool that serves you.
Okay, thank you. And now let's move on to some questions from the crowd. There's going to be a microphone now.
That was a quick draw.
Yeah, but we will try moving forward. Have people raise their hands, and we're going to choose.
So, both of you, the question is, could the open source LLM potentially match GPT-4's abilities without additional technical advances? Or is there a secret sauce in GPT-4 unknown to the world that sets it apart from the other models? Or am I wasting my time installing stable vicuña, 13 billion plus wizard? Am I wasting my time? Tell me.
All right, so to the open source versus non-open source models question, you don't want to think about it in binary black and white terms where, like, there is a secret source that will never be rediscovered. What I will say, or whether GPT-4 will ever be reproduced by open source models, perhaps one day it will be. But when it will be, there will be a much more powerful model in the companies. So there will always be a gap between the open source models and the private models. And this gap may even be increasing with time. The amount of effort and engineering and research that it takes to produce one such neural net keeps increasing. And so even if there are open source models, they will be less and less produced by small groups of dedicated researchers and engineers, and it will only be the providence of a company, a big company.
Hi.
Okay.
Can you tell us more about the base model before you lobotomized it, lined it?
What was the
About
question?
the base model of GPT-4.
What about it?
How was it before you lobotomized it?
We definitely realize that in the process of doing RLHF on the models, it loses important capability. We're studying how we can preserve as much of that as possible. The base model is like not that easy to use, but what we'd like to get to is something that does follow instructions and gives users as much control and as much capability as possible. And doesn't get us in legal trouble, although, like, you know, we've discovered a lot of stuff like refusals to help with that. So we totally hear the request for more flexible models, and we're trying to figure out how to do that and give users more customization over them.
Okay, we have a question over there.
First of all, thank you so much for this talk. It's truly invaluable. I'm really curious to know what, in your eyes, are the top sectors that can be impacted for the better by individuals and small companies.
I didn't hear the question.
Can you repeat the question, please? There is a lot of echo.
Sorry. Really curious to know what, in your eyes, are the top sectors that can be impacted for the better by individuals and small companies.
One of the reasons we're doing this trip around the world is to hear from people about what they want, what they'd like OpenAI to do, what their concerns are, you know, how they're thinking about regulation, how they're thinking about how they want this to be integrated in society. But the other is to talk to people that are building on top of our API and understand what they're doing and what they want to do. And for me, the most fun part of this trip has been meeting developers and just being amazed at the creativity, the scale of the businesses being built, the 1, 2, or 3 people that are like building something that has now gotten to real scale in a product that people really love, and how that is happening in every industry. When we do these developer roundtables, almost never are 2 people working on the same kind of sector even. It's the diversity that is the coolest thing. I think any vertical you want to pick, AI is going to impact somehow, and this is probably the most magical period since the launch of the iPhone, at least, for a technological tidal wave to go do incredible things. So I think the most exciting part of this is it's not 1 or 2 sectors. It's just find some place that you're passionate about and go do it.
Okay. Let's now, every person that asks a question, start with name and affiliation.
Okay. Dror Global One with Keshet Broadcast. First, thank you again for coming here. I appreciate this talk very much. And secondly, if you truly believe that AI imposes a danger to humankind, why keep developing it? Aren't you afraid for your own dear ones and family? And secondly, should regulation will imposed upon you, upon OpenAI and other AI companies, will you obey or behave much like, say, Mark Zuckerberg, who tried to evade every regulation he finds? Thank you.
I think it's a super fair and good question. And the most troublesome part of our jobs is that we have to balance this like incredible promise and this technology that I think humans really need. And we can talk about why in a second, with confronting these very serious risks. Why to build it? Number one, I do think that when we look back at the standard of living and what we tolerate for people today, it will look even worse than when we look back at how people lived 500 or 1,000 years ago. And we'll say like, man, can you imagine that people lived in poverty? Can you imagine people suffered from disease? Can you imagine that everyone didn't have a phenomenal education and were able to live their lives however they wanted? It's going to look barbaric. I think everyone in the future is going to have better lives than the best people of today. And again, the upside there is tremendous. So I think there's like a moral duty to figure out how to do that. I also think this is like unstoppable. Like this is the progress of technology, it won't work to stop it, and so we have to figure out how to manage the risk. We were formed as a company in large part because of this risk and the need to address it. We have an unusual structure. We have a capped profit. I believe that incentives are superpowers, and if you design the incentives right, you usually get the behavior you want. So, like, we're gonna all do fine. We're not gonna make any more or less money if we make the numbers go a little further up to the right. We don't have the incentive structure that a company like Facebook had. And I think there were very well-meaning people at Facebook. They were just in an incentive structure that had some challenges. So we tried to take AGI, we tried to, as Ilya always says, we tried to feel the AGI when we were setting up our company originally, and then we set up our capped profit structure. So how do we balance the need for the money for compute with what we care about is this mission? And one of the things we talked about is what's a structure that would let us warmly embrace regulation that would hurt us the most? And now that the time has come for that, we're out here advocating around the world for regulation that will impact us the most. So of course we'll comply with it. I think it's more easy to get good behavior out of people when they are staring existential risk in the face. And so I think all of the people at the leading edge here, these different companies now feel this, and you will see a different collective response than you saw from the social media companies. I think all the skepticism, all the concern is fair. We wrestle with this every day, and there is not an easy soundbite answer.
Hi, my name is Netanel Betzalel. I am a CEO at a small business, and I have to mention that we use GPT-4 a lot. It helps us a lot. And lastly, I spoke with a VP in Microsoft, and she told me how they decided to listen to AI because all of the A/B testing, the AI was right. And I just wondering, what is the gap between the AI you use, like we have a lot of limitations with tokens and all of the things, and you don't have. But what is the gap between the power that you have to the power that we can use?
The gap that there is between the models that you use and the models that we use is the question. Well, I mean, right now, GPT-4, you have access to GPT-4, and so do we. Indeed, we are working on the next future model. Maybe I'll describe the gap as follows. As we keep building AIs of increasingly greater capabilities, there'll be a larger gap, a longer testing period, a longer period where we will red team, understand the limitations of the models, understand all the way, as many of the ways as possible in which it could be used in ways that we deem unacceptable, and then expand it gradually. So for example, right now, GPT-4 has vision recognition abilities which we have not rolled out yet because the finishing touches weren't quite there, but soon we will. So I think that would be an answer to your question.
Hi.
Probably not too far in the future.
Soon.
Hi, I'm David. I'm a data scientist at Classified. I just love to know what are your thoughts about the We Have No Moats document that was released lately? The leaked document.
The thing that is special about OpenAI, and I think the thing that is so misunderstood by that document, aside from the fact that we have a gigantic number of users and people that have formed some sort of relationship with us and our products, is what OpenAI is special about is figuring out what comes next. It is easy to copy something once you know it can be done, and in that sense, sure. It is very hard to go figure out what to do next. And the ideas, the big ideas, the medium-sized ideas, the small ideas, and the careful execution on them that it takes to get from here to superintelligence, that's what our mode is. So sure, once we go do the next paradigm, everybody will get going trying to copy that too, but we'll already be working on the next one.
Hey, Sam, up here. Hello. We're up here. My name is Shai Ben Basat. I'm a YouTuber. I'm also a CEO of a new startup. I have a question regarding superintelligence and the Rocco's basilisk dilemma. Can you kind of elaborate on how ChatGPT and OpenAI stands on that dilemma?
So while Rocco's basilisks is something that we are not very concerned about, we are definitely very concerned about superintelligence. And just for context, not everyone in the audience may understand what we mean by superintelligence, right? What do we mean? One day, when it will be possible to build a computer cluster, GPU farm, that is just smarter than any person, that can do science and engineering much, much faster than even a large team of really experienced scientists and engineers. And that is crazy. That is going to be unbelievably, extremely impactful. It could engineer the next version of the system. Like AI built in AI. That's just crazy. So our stance is that superintelligence is profound. It can be incredibly, unbelievably positive, but also very dangerous. And this danger needs to be approached with care. This is why we propose the IAEA approach to the very, very advanced cutting-edge systems of the future, the superintelligence. And also, there is a lot of research that we'll need to do to contain the power of the superintelligence, to align them so that their power and their capability will be used to our benefit, to the benefit of people. So that's our stance on superintelligence. It is the ultimate challenge of humanity, superintelligence. If you think about the evolutionary history of humanity, so 4 billion years ago, there was a single cell, some kind of a replicator. Then about a number of billions of years, you had various different single-cellular organisms. Then about 1 billion years ago, you had multicellular life. Several hundred million years ago, you had maybe reptiles. 60 million years ago, you had mammals. 10 million years ago, you had primates. 1 million years ago, you had the Homo sapiens. Then 10,000 years, we had the writing. Then we had the farming revolution. Then the industrial revolution, the technological revolution, and now finally the AGI, the superintelligence. It is the final, the ultimate challenge. It can create a life of unimaginable prosperity, which Sam alluded to. But it is also a great challenge. And it is a challenge that we need to face and overcome.
Hello.
What a time to live through.
Ronnie Dory from Calcalist. Hi. This is a question for Sam Altman. I was wondering, what is your stand about data dignity in the context of AI?
Yeah, we think it is very important that the people who contribute data to these systems, or the people who in some other way help these systems, even if it's not training on their data, are rewarded, get the benefit from these systems. I think what these systems really want to be are reasoning engines. But they will be able to go off and access different data, and they will also need people who help teach them how to reason correctly. And we are exploring a lot of ideas about how those people get aligned rewards with the success of the model. And also how if you're an artist and people are generating art in your style or inspired by you or whatever, you get economic benefit from that. So I think it's super important to figure out, we're trying to come up with the right approach given both what content creators and content owners want and also where the technology is going.
So I actually have a question that was collected from the Machine and Deep Learning Israel community. It shows one question. This is from Ben Netzer, Galei Tzahal, which is a media outlet. The question is, what opportunities do you see in Israel for the development of AI and its application, and specifically something maybe that you see special in Israel?
I mean,
if any.
I think that in the near term, there are so many opportunities. There's a huge number of opportunities. I would say the near term is truly the golden age of AI. It's like you've got an uncharted territory of an incredible number of positive applications. And what I'll say, just go for it. Just do it.
Yeah. So Sam, you worked with Israeli founders, startups, right, in the past?
Yeah. The two things that I've observed that are particularly special about Israel, number one is the talent density. We're very focused on talent density, not just like absolute amount of talent. This is a smallish country that punches way above its weight, and it has lots of talented people that you can get clustered into areas. And then the second is just the sort of like relentlessness, drive, ambition level of Israeli entrepreneurs. Again, we had like incredible success in all of the YC efforts we made. But those two things together, I think, ought to lead to incredible prosperity, both in terms of AI research and AI applications. Thank you.
Yeah, we can take over there.
Hi.
Like in my ChatGPT history? It has basically replaced Wikipedia for me. I used to spend a lot of time learning stuff on Wikipedia, and I think the thing you would find if you looked through mine is how effective it can be at learning new knowledge in the Wikipedia style. So I don't do like the deep teach me everything about physics that I know some people do, but the like, I heard about this thing and I want to learn about it as quickly as possible. You would find a surprisingly effective tool for that.
Hi. Hi. Can you hear me?
No, we need people with microphones.
Hi. I'm up here. Hi, Sam.
Hi, we can't see.
So my name is Arbel. I'm a volunteer here in Tel Aviv. I'm 18. And I wanted to ask you, what do you look for in a new employee in OpenAI? Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Drive, taste, collaboration, intelligence, like the ability to contribute, be a good team, like contribute to the output of the entire organization, which could mean come up with the next breakthrough, or it could mean like really be a great engineer to help us build these systems, or it could just mean like be really helpful to other people and contribute that way. Definitely a belief in superintelligence and a feeling the weight of the importance of getting this right in terms of getting the benefits but managing the risks. I don't know what else.
Oh. Sounds like a pretty comprehensive answer.
All right.
Yeah.
You should definitely apply.
Yeah.
Hello. Up here again, in the balcony, to the right.
We're just guessing.
Yeah.
It's dark up there.
My name is Alon. I'm the CEO of a company called Benny Goren. It's the leading mathematics.
It's for teaching mathematics.
We are the leading provider of mathematics textbooks and content for the last 40 years here in Israel. First of all, I wanted to ask, how do you plan to improve ChatGPT skills, Hebrew skills? And the second is related to something you were talking about. What is your vision of education and AI and like practically in schools for our kids? How we can improve and motivate them? And thank you very much.
You want to take it?
Yeah. Education in math. Well, obviously, textbooks will be upgraded. You read a textbook, but the textbook doesn't answer your questions. So it will be possible, with the aid of the kind of AIs that we and others are building, for you to have a conversation about the subject matter. So that makes for a much more efficient learning experience. It will apply to math, it will apply to everything else. Eventually we will be moving, or rather eventually, we already are moving to a world where every student has a dedicated private tutor. Not there yet. It's not quite good enough, but it will be.
There's a great chance there'll be a black swan event in employment. How can it be that no government in the world is now addressing this big chance that there'll be a big displacement?
I'm actually not sure if it's a black swan event in employment. I think it may be a sort of more gradual and very predicted change that's going to happen, where we now have these systems that are good at doing tasks but not whole jobs, and they get better and do some jobs, but it's all sort of difficult to predict. The role of the government, I think, is going to be to provide some sort of new cushion. What the format of that will be, I think different governments will try different experiments, and we'll see what works better, and governments will copy the ones that work better. In almost every conversation I've had these last few weeks on the road, every government has been very thoughtful about this. They have different ideas about how best to solve it. But it is maybe the top of mind issue, at least the top 3 issue, that I think any world leader is thinking about with this. So I think people are on it.
We have time for 1 or 2 questions.
Hi, my name is Ben, up here.
Yeah,
My name
please.
is Ben Shkalim, and I'm studying computer science and I'm graduating soon. So what I wanted to know, why should I learn to still have a job in 10 to 15 years from now?
Well, I think learning computer science is good no matter what. I almost never write code anymore, but it was one of the best things that I ever did in terms of like learning how to think, learning how to address problems. So I think it's valuable for its own sake, even if the job of a computer programmer looks very different than it looks today. The main skill I think to learn is how to learn fast, how to learn new things, how to give it a sense for what's coming, how to be adaptable, how to be resilient, taste, how to figure out what other people are going to want, how you can be useful. So again, there's no question in our minds that jobs are going to change, that the nature of work is going to change, but also I cannot imagine a world where people don't do something with their time to create value for other people and all of the benefits that come with that. And maybe in the future, the thing you and I care about is who has the cooler galaxy, but there's still going to be something.
Okay.
Hi, up here.
Last one.
Hello. My name is Chen Sagiv. I'm co-founder of Deepatology. My question to both of you is, you guys are making history. How do you want history to remember you?
I mean, in the best possible way.
Hello. My name is Amir. I am 17 years old entrepreneur, and I want to know what is your tips for first-time startups in these ages?
I didn't quite hear the opinion for what? First-time startup?
I am 17 years old entrepreneur, and I want
this
to
is
give
the
it
best. This is truly, I think, the best time to start a startup that I have ever seen. This is, I think it's actually better than the iPhone. I think it's maybe the only comparable thing is when the internet launched. If you are a first-time entrepreneur right now, you are the luckiest entrepreneur that has existed in a long time. You have an incredible, new, fast-moving technological wave, and those are when startups win. Those are when the incumbents screw up and get displaced. The ground is shaking right now. That's what you want as a startup. And things are possible that most people can't quite imagine. And the opportunity to build value with a new approach doesn't come along very often. And this is the big one. So like every entrepreneur is a summer child right now. And it's a super cool time.
Hello.
Doing what? Oh, well, I totally disagree with that. Like people are going to build all of the stuff on top of us. Like, yes, if you're trying to like come for ChatGPT, you have had a failure of imagination and probably you will not make something better than like the pure version of ChatGPT. But the size of the universe of possibilities right now, just the companies that we've met with on this trip, is unbelievable. There's so much to go after that if you're somehow like worried about us being the incumbent, I think you're really not thinking about the problem correctly.
Sam here.
This is going to be the very, very last question.
Here upstairs, here on the
Can't see,
balcony.
sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sam, I'm Rinat. I'm a data scientist here in the university. And my question is about your future plans and the Worldcoin Project, the ORP system.
I'm an investor and I kind of like helped put the company together, but I'm not involved day to day at all. I think it's very exciting. I think experimenting with new ways to differentiate between like to prove humanity in a privacy-preserving way and to think about things like global UBI and ways to fairly democratize access is a super great area to explore, but I'm not close enough to the company to like meaningfully comment on the plans.